So
That's a camera. That you're going to make movie out of it.
totally.
Okay.
Right now, Sue, we are here chatting with Gene Cernan and Mark Craig.
We are.
Doesn't get much more cooler than Gene Cernan. I'm just saying, I have to get it out of the way. Huge fan.
Thank you.
I grew up in the 70s, and your poster was on my wall, and yeah, so just Paul.
You are a definition of those young kids out there that the intent of this film is to inspire and get excited and bring out their passion about doing what they didn't think was possible. That's what the story is.
That's totally what it was. I mean, that's pretty much what I said in my review. It's just, I grew up where I knew Star Trek, I knew Star Wars, and then at about age 7, I realized, we've actually gone to the moon. That's insane. And then I found out about Gemini, Apollo, and I'm just like, this is, so you guys blew my mind. You guys were actual heroes.
Sometimes I can get on that stage and talk to a bunch of folks, young and old, and I get this feeling, talk about living on the moon and looking back at the earth and trying to answer the question about what it feels like, and all of a sudden I got to stop. I said, how arrogant can you get? You're telling those people you went to the moon? Seriously, sometimes you got to stop yourself and think about, number one, did it really happen? And then, yes, it did really happen. And then trying, even at this point in my life, sometimes trying to absorb that guy bouncing around on the moon is me. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Pretty difficult.
Now, the film kind of conveys you probably quite properly as a relaxed, kind of humble guy, kind of private. So, Mark, how did you get him to open up? And what made you think, I want to make a film about this guy?
And how did you convince him to let you make a film about him?
Well, there's a few questions there, and they all sort of kind of overlap.
The last
really.
one was a good one.
How did I convince? Well, that old word called time. Mm-hmm. I think obviously, if any person is going to open up about their life and their career and leave a legacy for millions of people, you need to build up a certain amount of trust. Gene needed to understand that I wasn't going to be one of those cranks that thrust the Bible into his hand and said, come on, tell me it didn't go, or maybe even quite simply make yet another one of those documentaries that's already been made many times about the history of it all and the science and the Cold War, all those have been done. So I was always very keen to make something that was a bit different. But it is very difficult trying to pitch those differences, just verbally and with a few drawings and try and convince, an aviator about a movie concept. We're from different worlds in that respect. But I think as time went past, I think he did recognise my passion and commitment to the project, and I admit, I became a little bit obsessed with it, and I needed to just do it and make it happen, and I was going to die trying, I guess.
Nice.
But I will say, no filmmaker makes a film entirely by himself. There are some fantastic friends and colleagues back home in England who, bought into this crazy idea that I had and helped me, fantastically along the way. And we all got to work on Gene, and in the end, I think you were happy to do it.
Well, yeah, and there was a great deal. He worked on me for about 3 years. Wow. Literally 3 years. Not daily, but.
It's me again.
And I resisted, quite frankly. He really complimented me about the book, and I know the book has been well received. Mm-hmm. I hear that from a lot of people, and that's a tremendous compliment. And it surprised me, quite frankly, because I just wanted to go out and tell a story. I wanted to take you with me where I've been, and it's a first person, me talking to you. The movie is quite different, and I kept saying, that old thing that I've been asking myself for a long time about the last 50 years of my life. Why me? Why do you want to do a movie about me? Who cares? It just wasn't about space. Who cares about me? No one knows gonna know who the hell I am anyway. And in 20 years, he kept saying, this is a story that young kids, 20 and 25 years down the line, another generation or two, have to be aware of. They have to know the challenge that Kennedy gave you folks. They have to know who you were. You just came out of plain, ordinary, vanilla society, and you were challenged to do something. And lo and behold, that dream of yours as a kid, whoever you are, led you to the moon. The story. I never heard him for the first 3 years. No, it's serious. I know he said it, but I never listened.
Right.
Right.
Till finally I was convinced that, yeah, I guess if there's a story to tell and I can leave something to future generations other than a, wow, gee whiz, isn't that neat? But leave something that's beneficial or give something or share something with a kid that might make him realize if I can do it, he can do it too, then it became, in a sense, not an obligation, but a responsibility to say yes and go forward, this not knowing where it was going to go. And I felt even once we got started, I had some control of, I wanted to be in control of my own destiny most of my life. But when it came to this film, I wasn't in total control, but I had, if I didn't really like it, I could probably keep it off the screen. I felt, okay, let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Let's see whether we've got something that's worthwhile to give to future generations. And
I think so.
that's
And
where
you
we
and
went.
you started at the beginning. Like, I like that you just you started with the very basic bare bones of the story, and then you're like, let's start back when he was a little kid.
Well, I wanted to make sure he wasn't going to go through a movie, say, born, went to school,
Right.
became a naval aviator, became.
Check,
End
check.
of story.
Yeah.
I didn't want my book to be that way. My book started out right in the middle of the Apollo 1 fire. And then we took it back and set the scene for what was going on in the world and one thing or another. And this is what I came to understand and really understand where he was coming from. He truly is a visionary. And even today, when I looked at that last night, how the heck did he bounce from this scene and put that other scene up there? Can I take time to get, okay, at the end of the movie, one of my best buddies I flew in the Navy with, we're on horses. We're 80 years old, both of us. 80 years old. And I said in the movie, we ain't got what we used to got, right? And we'd be riding on horses. I said, I'll take left wing, you take right wing.
Yeah.
Well, he already introduced us early in the movie when we were both in the Navy flying
The Diamond
formation
Formation,
flights and so forth. So all of a sudden, boom, he switches to these two jet airplanes out there flying wing to wing. That switches back to us flying wing to wing on horseback
Yeah.
kind of thing. That's throughout the movie,
Yeah.
which just, that's creativeness. This guy is a very creative. He knew where he was going. I didn't.
It's
And
a
it was
big journey.
seamless, too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was one of the first things I said
You're
to
getting
Tim
a
this morning.
compliment.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for saying something. Obviously, the nature of making a documentary, you don't follow an exact script.
Right.
No.
Of course, you
Yeah.
go in knowing the story and have an idea of how you want to tell that story, especially when you've had such a long time to plan it, as I did. And that's not a dig. But I think when you then take it into the edit suite and you have time and calm away from the frenetic nature of filming, that you have a chance to really think about things. And I think, for example, when he said that comment, I'll ride left wing, you ride right wing.
Yeah.
I knew what he meant by that. And if you're talking about his very old naval aviator buddy, they go back 50 plus years, then of course I'll work with that.
Mm-hmm.
So inspiration goes both ways. I was inspired by Gene's book, and that triggered off his story, and the way he told it triggered off ways in which I could tell that story, and then I would put that back to him, and I don't know. It's a very collaborative effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only bad part of the movie is we find ourselves, I find, this is me talking, and I know this is the way it works. I'm learning a little bit about the movie business and the editing business. We got a whole story left over
Oh,
on the
No
cutting room
doubt.
floor.
no.
Oh, yeah.
A story that tells a story we didn't tell. You know, but that's the nature of the business,
Don't put
I
that
guess.
out there. I want to.
I know, I'm like,
Yeah.
now
Now I want the
we have
director's
to-
cut. Come on.
But, you know, but nobody goes to the movies to watch a 4-hour documentary.
I would do that. I would
Yeah.
do that.
The popcorn runs out at
That's right,
at
it's
about
over.
35
That'll be the
minutes.
extra disc with the DVD then.
Exactly. So, you know, there is a limit.
Early in the film, you say, all you have to do is close your eyes and your light years away back on the moon. Well, not light years, just light moments. Is there a specific moment you go back to when you think about the moon? Is it too
It's
personal?
not part of my everyday life.
No.
If you and I went out to dinner tonight, we walked out, and I think we're about to look at a full moon, if I'm not mistaken. Someone said
It's
that last
really
night.
close,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you said, wait a minute, Gene. What do you think when you look up there? And where did you land? And I look up there. I'm doing two things. I'm looking at it from here, but I'm also looking at it from that valley. I'm in the middle of the valley. And I said I can take myself there at the speed of thought,
Yeah, that's what it was.
which
Yeah.
is even faster than the speed of light. When those times come up with people, if you're anywhere and all of a sudden there's a bright moon up there, the chances are, particularly if it's someone you hadn't seen for a long time, they're going to ask that question. I don't know. I don't go out in the backyard and look at a full moon. Yeah, once in a while I'll say, God, that's a gorgeous moon, particularly when it's just coming up and it's
Oh,
bright
yeah.
orange. And then you say, I know what it's like to live up there. And then you go about your business.
Just
You,
as you do.
can't-
What else can you
can't
do with it,
sit
though?
there and look in the mirror, hang a sign around your neck, and say, "Golly, man, are you wonderful? You're great. You went to the moon." First of all, no one else is listening, and I'd get tired of hearing that myself. I don't look into the
Okay.
past, except when someone like you or him, which
Brings
he
it
did
up,
in
yeah.
this movie, forces me to do that.
Okay, well, why
Yeah.
don't we change directions and look to the future? What do you see for space exploration?
What do I see in space exploration? Right now, we're in a mode of space exploitation.
Oh, yeah.
For 42 years, we haven't been able to go more than 150 miles away. I spent 2 trips to the moon. That's 250,000 miles away. And it's a little discouraging at this point in time and disappointing. But I'm one of those, I got ultimate faith. And I could sit here and tell you, spend time telling you why I believe this, but we will go back to the moon. It's our nature. Curiosity is the essence of human existence. Why did Columbus explore? Why did all those, De Gaulle and all those other guys, why, Columbus was, most people thought he was going to sail off the end of the earth, but he went anyway. And we will go back to the moon, and if you want to get practical, why? There's a lot of commercial advantages, a lot of things we can do and learn from going to the moon and setting up telescopes, helium-3, all kinds of things.
Webcams, what I want.
And the other thing is, from another practical point, I think we have to go back to the moon to get mentally prepared
Yes.
to go to Mars.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we
I didn't
have
even
to
think of
live
that.
on the moon and find out ways of surviving on that barren environment for 6 months, whatever, living together to find out what we need to do better to go to Mars. Because indeed, we will go to Mars, and that's going to be a very unique trip. Not going to be as it's planned today. We're not going to, chemical propulsion, I think, has outlived its usefulness.
Yeah.
If you want to go past the moon, you got to find ion, something else. We're not going to spend 9 months going to the moon, and we're not going to spend 18 months until the planets are aligned so we can get home. We're going to go in 60 days or less. We're going to come back when we want, and it's not going to be a one-way trip like some people have proposed. But it's going to happen. I can guarantee it's going to happen
If you had the opportunity, would you go?
in a minute, tomorrow morning.
Nice. I had the same answer.
I know, I
I had
would.
the same answer.
Certainly at this point, I got to take that next step. I know what it's like to look back at the earth, the dynamics and beauty of this earth of ours surrounded by an infinite blackness, the endlessness of time and the endlessness of space. But I don't know. I can only imagine what it's like to look back at the earth from Mars. Or on the way to Mars as the Earth recedes into that
Yeah, in a tiny little speck. Yeah.
blue star. Can you imagine? You- that's all we
I
can
can
do
see
is
it,
imagine.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna know what it's like, and I wanna come back and tell you what it's like.
But I wanted to go.
Yeah, and, you know,
That's
you
awesome.
may be past your prime because,
might be.
you know, 6 years ago, before Constellation was canceled, we were going back to the moon. We would have been there in the early 20s, certainly. And I think within the decade, we would have been ready and on our way to Mars. Now, throw another generation, however you define a generation, on top of that timetable. That doesn't mean it won't happen. We
It's
are
totally
destined
happening.
to explore and understand what we don't understand. Have answers. I don't care whether we come back with more questions than answers, but we're going to get answers to some of those questions and expand our knowledge. Another question last night, you know, everybody is, did you see any life flights? You see any UFOs? What's this big secret the government's keeping from us? You know, I know I didn't, I haven't, but I believe there is life in outer
totally.
space for a couple good reasons. Statistically, and when I went to the moon and I came back, I can reinforce this feeling on my second trip. I always thought of it as a kid. I grew up as a Christian. I mean, there is a God. You go to the moon, you realize there is a creator. You can worship your God in any shape, fashion, call him by whatever name you want, but there is a creator. That's what I call it. And if you believe that, the question is, how can we be so arrogant not to that creator created life somewhere in this universe?
That's what I say all the time.
Perfect. Gene, that's fantastic. Mark,
Yeah.
both of you, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
That was